UFC 284 is this weekend, and we have a monster main event when we have Alexander Volkanovski taking on Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title, as Alexander Volkanovski is looking to get that lightweight title away from Islam Makhachev, and Islam Makhachev is looking to become the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So we have a very interesting main event here, very top-heavy card, which we'll not get into because this is about the main event. But without further ado, I'm going to get into my in-depth breakdown for this week. So without further ado, let's go. We have Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Islam Makhachev 23-1, Alexander Volkanovski 25-1. Alexander Volkanovski 2 years older. The important stuff here, I guess I can kind of just run through this. Alexander Volkanovski will be 4 inches shorter. He will surprisingly have a 1-inch reach advantage, but will be at a 4.5-inch reach deficit. For Islam Makhachev's past 3 wins: win over Charles Oliveira, the previous champ, or I guess he wasn't the previous champ, but it was for the vacant title, pretty much champ, but destroyed Charles Oliveira in that matchup, made him look silly, knocked him down, was able to submit him on the ground. Beat Bobby Green, who came in on short notice, was able to defeat him by ground and pound shots, and then beat Dan Hooker by, I believe, a Kimura off the top of my head, but looked very dominant in that fight. Dan Hooker also came in on short notice for that one. For Alexander Volkanovski, he had a very dominant win over Max Holloway, very dominant win over Korean Zombie, and a very dominant win over Brian Ortega, despite some people arguing it wasn't because of the 2 deep submissions that Brian Ortega did have, but it was a pretty dominant win outside of that. I believe he got like a 10-8 round in there also, so looked pretty good. And his past 3 fights, same thing with Islam Makhachev's 2 forces coming right at each other. Alexander Volkanovski coming back up to lightweight, was previously at lightweight for like a couple fights and then went down, but he does, from his previous fights at lightweight, he does have quite a bit of power in lightweight, so we'll see how that transfers coming up from featherweight. If he's able to build into that division a little bit from the past few months that he's been ready to go into the lightweight division. So we'll see how this one goes. For this matchup, I am going to go with Islam Makhachev, but I think it will be a little close. I think Volkanovski will surprise some people. I'll put it that way, because I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure what this is going to look like. I have an idea in my brain how I think it will go, but for Volkanovski, I think if he overachieves, it'll look really good for him. He honestly just needs to take a round or 2 off, and people will praise him. If he looks at least, if he wins on the feet, I think he'll look good here, because you can argue that because Makhachev is heavier and all that, it's just a disadvantage in general. Like, a lot of people don't think Volkanovski's going to win here. So if he looks good on the feet, I think that's enough praise for him, but he doesn't have much to lose here. So for Islam Makhachev, he is going to be way bigger than Alexander Volkanovski in this matchup, even though people say that Alexander Volkanovski was once like 200 pounds, like he's going to build, he's already got that frame, he's got that big body frame. Volkanovski fights at 145. I believe he said he's at 170. I know Makhachev probably cuts from like 190 plus, so maybe not cuts, but starts in like training camp at like 190 plus. So he's a very heavy dude. He's going to be way heavier than Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski is strong, Volkanovski is tough, but he's just going to be way bigger than Volkanovski in this one. For Makhachev, I believe in the first round, I said this in the early predictions at the end of the full card prediction, I think he's going to weigh it out on the feet. He said he wants to KO Volkanovski. I think he's going to hang in there a little bit. I think Volkanovski's probably going to get the best of him in that round. I can see him winning that first round because Makhachev, he said he wants to get that KO, and then I think he's going to start mixing it up in the second round. Because he wants that KO, I'm assuming he's probably going to stay like the first half of that second round and start striking with Volkanovski on the feet again. If he doesn't like what he sees, he's probably going to back up Volkanovski a little bit, going for a takedown, at least get it in Volkanovski's brain that he's going to be able to take him down and that he will shoot for a takedown, just to make it a little iffy for Volkanovski on the feet. Although Volkanovski does have a 1-inch reach advantage here, he is the smaller fighter in general, so it is going to be a little tougher for Islam Makhachev to get that takedown, but I think he will eventually get it. There's the size, and Volkanovski has been taken down by, I believe, like Brian Ortega, and that's pretty much saying much. Brian Ortega is not much of an offensive grappler. He has gotten better, but he's not the best. Offensive wrestler, but he has gotten better, but he isn't the best. And like, he got taken down by Chad Mendez, which is understandable, but a guy like Islam Makhachev, who's super heavy, getting taken down like that wouldn't be a surprise here. So I can see Islam Makhachev starting to introduce the takedowns later part in the second round. And then in the third round, I can see Islam again sitting on the feet and like start feinting some of those takedowns just to mess with Volkanovski, trying to get that KO. Maybe he doesn't even go for a takedown in the third round, but I can see him maybe trying to get the takedown at the end of it just to kind of seal the round, just for points, just as a backup, because he is trying to get a KO here. I guess that kind of brings up an interesting question. I know he's taking it seriously, but if he's going to try and chase a KO, it might be a little dangerous for Islam Makhachev. But I believe in the fourth round, I think he might be able to get a finish on Volkanovski. I think he sees the first 3 rounds. He's like, all right, I'm not getting this guy out on the feet. I'm going to try maybe early on in that fourth round. And if I can, I'm going to get him down. I'm going to try and submit him. I think he's going to be able to submit Volkanovski. Volkanovski's a very tough dude, but Islam's very strong and very good on the ground for sure. So I can see Islam Makhachev definitely taking down and submitting Volkanovski in the fourth round, and I'm starting to become very comfortable with that idea. I think he's just going to be way bigger than him. I don't think Volkanovski's going to be able to do much here, especially with the muscle difference. He's probably just going to ragdoll him around. But for on the stand-up, I think because Islam Makhachev is actually pretty solid on this in the stand-up, you can probably say he's good at this point since he did knock down Charles Oliveira. But because of the takedowns, I think his striking will probably look a little bit better. You'll see Volkanovski staying out a little bit of range here. You'll see Volkanovski kind of reacting to everything Islam Makhachev does here because of the takedown threat. So he does have that on his side. Volkanovski is a smaller fighter, so maybe you'll see a couple knees, or he doesn't really throw front kicks, but maybe just a couple knees when Volkanovski tries to come in, because he does kind of crash a little bit. He's a shorter fighter, and I don't know, he fights like his head is weighing like 50 pounds. Like he'll kind of just dangle around. He'll like step into your chest, step in your head. He definitely fights with the very tough side. He puts his head down like a rugby player, just puts his head down and fights and just goes. So that's what I'm saying. In that first round, I can see Volkanovski taking, and then once Islam starts to adjust, I can think Islam will definitely be able to get some points on Volkanovski, maybe hurt him a little bit to get that takedown, submit him, or maybe just try and chase it and then get in a dangerous situation. But I think Volkanovski will probably win most of the striking exchanges here because I think he's just more crisp. But the takedown threat of Islam Makhachev definitely makes this a little bit more interesting. We can probably evaluate how Islam Makhachev's striking is in this one. Even though he does have a really good takedown threat, I think the striking is probably going to be a really good measure here for Islam Makhachev, because Volkanovski is very fast, and I think he'll be powerful moving out to lightweight. He was powerful originally, like I said before. So we'll see if he builds into the division for this one. But I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev for a fourth round submission. I'm starting to get comfortable with that 80. I'll say like 70%. I think he'll probably get submitted in like that fourth or fifth round. And then I think 30% wise, I think he'll go to a submission. But I think Volkanovski will definitely surprise here. I think he'll win a round. I think he'll take the first round, maybe the second round. And then I think Islam Makhachev starts to, okay, first 3 rounds, I can't get him out of there. Fourth round, I'm going to try and get him out of there. But if I can, I'm going to take him down and try to finish him there. Because he did say he wanted a KO. But if he can't get a KO in the first 3 rounds, I think he's going to actively like try to get him down and submit him. But we'll see how this one goes. If he is trying to chase a KO for this one, it could be very dangerous. I hope he's taking him very seriously here, because if he isn't, it's Volkanovski. Like I think a lot of people are choosing Islam to win here, and I hope he doesn't get that in his head and try to chase a KO, because Volkanovski is very dangerous. But again, the takedown threat is going to be an issue for Volkanovski here. Even though he does have a reach advantage, it's gonna be very rough for him. I can see I can see Islam throwing a lot of straight shots and then kneeing when Volkanovski tries to rush in, because he does that a lot, rush in to put some body shots in, and then I can just see a knee going in there and kind of making Volkanovski a little wary there and making him try to like pick his shots a little bit more and be a little more patient instead of just barging in like he does at 145-pound division. Because again, at 155, they definitely hit a lot harder than they do at 145. So you kind of want to see how Volkanovski's chin will be here, because Islam definitely has a little bit of power in his hands, so he can definitely take out Volkanovski in this matchup if he wanted to. It could definitely be a real possibility. Maybe you might want to put money down on that. If like Islam by KO, I'm sure it's like plus 500 or something. If he's actively chasing it, I mean, it is a possibility here, but I'm not going to hedge my bet on that for sure. I'm going to go fourth round Islam Makhachev submission, maybe a arm triangle, but again, I actually kind of want to see how it looks on the ground for Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski here, because Volkanovski is a very small dude. It'll be interesting to see if he can get out of those positions, but I can just see like Islam Makhachev holding him on the ground, just moving him everywhere, just scooting him down, even though Volkanovski's a really smaller fighter. And I can just see Islam just like laying on him, just putting it on him like in half guard, and then just getting the arm triangle, just absolutely choking him out there. And Volkanovski can't do anything because he's just not strong enough to get out of that situation. So I'm gonna go again for like the 4th time. I've said this. Islam Makhachev by submission in that 4th round. I don't think he gets the finish. Maybe he does get Alexander Volkanovski a little attentive to his striking. Maybe he gets hit a little bit. He's like, oh, okay. Like, I don't like that, you know? And then and then maybe I think he's just going to end up being really patient, because I think I can see Islam throwing a knee and then Volkanovski being like, okay, I don't feel comfortable with that. And then him just being super patient and choosing his shots, being super scared about the takedown. And I think it will just eventually get him anyway. So for the 5th time, Islam Makhachev by submission in that 4th round or 5th round, early 5th round. I think he just gets him out of there, because I don't think he's going to be able to find the finish early on in those rounds. So again, Islam Makhachev, 4th, 5th round, 4th or 5th round submission. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I kind of reiterated the same way I thought this fight was ending towards the end. My bad on that, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell me who you think will win in the comments down below. I did an early prediction a couple weeks ago, and I kind of covered a little bit of this in the full card prediction. So tell me what you think about that. I'll probably try and get early predictions out earlier, because I guess, I don't know. I'm not going to, it's not important, but I'll get it out earlier so we don't have this issue where 2 weeks and then I make another breakdown and it's not necessarily the same. There's a little bit more added to it, but tell me who you guys think will win in this matchup. If you want to join the Tapology Group down below, go ahead and click the link in the description. You can create an account and it'll track all your picks for the year and the years prior and your total percentage and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys